Trying to fit things into a small space I think is always quite challenging because you need to use every bit of the space. I quite like that challenge, to be fair. There's no wasted aspect of any part of the job then. I like how discreet it is from the road, and you don't really kind of know what it is until you kind of emerge down the driveway. You can see a bit of glimmer of the roof line, not quite sure what it is, and get a sense that this is actually a house or somewhere someone could live. On this property we're allowed to build under 50 square metres as a secondary dwelling. The clients wanted a small retreat, so that was the basis for this project. From the start we just focused on what are the important parts. Back to those sort of basic essentials of somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, somewhere to soak up the views in the surrounding environment without kind of loss of amenity to some extent. It didn't really need a palette of loads of contrast really. The kind of landscape does that for us. All of the boulders that created the semi-natural plinth this house sits on were all reclaimed from the driveway when that was all excavated. The design of the project had these two offset rectangles, and the sort of folded form of the roof came by connecting the two diagonally. Keeping these two simple forms that are connected allowed us to kind of borrow space from each other, which makes smaller spaces feel bigger. The skylight over the bed was a feature from the start. The client specifically noted they wanted to be able to see the stars while lying in bed. The circular form really shows itself off against this kind of angular, sharp-edged cabin. The bathhouse was a bit of an afterthought, to be honest, and that was kind of designed as a sort of a fragmented part that had kind of fallen by the wayside, a bit kind of like the rocks you see around the site. Bathing outside amongst the stars and great views and a glass of wine, it's pretty special. As a designer, I think designing for small spaces requires a bit more innovation and ingenuity, trying to create smaller spaces in footprint but still feel spacious in terms of atmosphere. Clients are becoming more aware of being more efficient with space and budget. That doesn't necessarily mean wasted space and big massive houses. I think done in the right way they can be, very bespoke but still feel very generous in space. I'd like to think New Zealand architecture, looking forward, becomes more aware of being a bit more creative, I think, in terms of smaller but not necessarily confined spaces. I think there's some really nice creative ways that you can pull that off.